is your host with the most, Philly Jim, coming at you guys with another live stream. We're talking all kinds of talk tonight. We're talking hot dog talk with Hot Dog Dave, aka Gangrene David. He's in the building. Um, Here to talk Eagles talk, Jets talk, injury report talk. Same thing every week. My brother Joey Shakes is here to talk with us. So, how you guys doing tonight, man?
I'm doing all right. Considering that I wish I could have previewed this game with a much better scenario, with a much better record, but I'm doing good. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, I'm just ready for Sunday, man. I just want to get this on the way. See who's playing, see who's not playing, see how our offense and defenses match up pretty well against each other. So I'm pretty excited for Sunday. So let's do this.
Yep. Let's get down to it, shall we?
All right. So before we get into the game, I'm gonna go over the injury report for the Eagles and for the Jets. The Eagles, a lot of the same names on the injury list. Ronald Darby was out of practice. Tight end Alex Ellis, Deshaun Jackson did not practice. I do not expect Deshaun to play in this game, and it has been reported that we may not see Deshaun back on a couple more weeks. So, that's something to keep your eyes on with that. Did not practice at all, so I wouldn't expect anything there. But we'll keep our eyes on that as the week goes on. Timmy Jernigan did not practice, of course, still dealing with his foot injury, although he has been out of the walking boot, so he could make his return in the next couple games. Then you have Jason Kelsey. It was a personal issue. His wife is expecting a baby, so no injury there. He should I would expect him to play on Sunday. Nothing there. Vontae Maddox did not practice. Derek Barnett was limited. Sidney Jones was limited. Sidney Jones was out in pads today. So one thing I will say about that is that's at least something. I haven't been overly impressed with Sidney Jones. I really expected a bigger year from him, really being healthy, having 2 years in the system and what have you. But it's at least something. It's at least something because if the way our corners are set up is one guy gets hurt, then you're pretty much a play away from Malcolm Jenkins having to be the starting corner. So that's tough. But the Jets, they got a big list. Sam Darnold actually was limited today, so that's something to keep your eyes on if you're a Jets fan. And it's something to keep our eyes on, too, when it comes to what quarterback we're going to be playing. He was limited in practice. A lot of their guys were out today. Jordan Jenkins, C.J. Mosley. A lot of their guys are out, so the Jets are really banged up. The Eagles are somewhat banged up. So that's pretty much it with the injury reports, guys. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Joey, I'll let you hit the floor.
Okay. Our corners are hurt. Okay, that's obvious. Okay, as of right now, and we're going to get beat on the pass regardless, okay? So we're used to this every game. So I'm not expecting any of these corners to play shutdown. I'm not expecting these corners to do much more than what they can already do right now. The Jets have receivers. The Jets have a good running back. And, we're really down to a few corners, and having Orlando Scandrick sign, which we already knew that was going to happen as soon as Avonte Max got hurt in the last game against the Green Bay Packers. I don't know what to see. I kind of want to see what he could do. I'm not really expecting much. I'm not expecting much from these corners too much in this game. I feel like this is more of an offensive game between both sides. I know that the Jets are losing a linebacker, and I know they, don't know if, Sam Darnold is going to be playing this week. They have better chances with Sam Darnold on the field, of course. But it just depends what Adam Gase is really cooking up to really get this offense going for the Jets, and not throwing these sideline dump off passes and really just throwing these balls upfield and not being afraid. Because they have a very good wide receiver coordinator. Robbie Anderson is a deep threat, and I think of him as more of a one-trick pony. The guy can actually do a lot more than what you think he could do. So an offensive game from both sides, and it's really going to come down to execution and come down to it's really going to really start in the trenches, really, and then kind of go right out. So that's what I think about this game and with the injuries involved.
Well, Joe, I think you hit it right on the nail right there. You kind of talked about Robbie Anderson. I'll get into that later, but I think I want to start with the defensive side of the ball for our case. So the Jets defense under Greg Williams, I got to give a lot of people, I don't think, give Greg Williams enough credit to where it's due to the sense of where he's basically coaching a defense to where you have your guys out and he's still doing what he can with his guys, because we went from having C.J. Mosley and our other linebacker, Avery Williamson, who got signed with an ACL injury. That was supposed to be a legitimate linebacker duo. And now we have what's his face? Neville Hewitt, who's some dude from the Dolphins. He's an Adam Gase guy, no surprise there. And we have a 5th-round rookie in Blake Cashman, who I think has been doing a hell of a job. But I think one thing that's been concerning me on defense is that while these other guys are stepping up, a lot of these guys that are getting paid, that we're paying, are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like Leonard Williams, for example. This is the 6th round. This was the 6th overall pick back in 2015. The guy is making $14 million this year, and he's not doing a goddamn thing. He's had 10 tackles in 3 games. And do I really want to give him a big contract? Hell no, absolutely not. So, however, Quinnen Williams, who's been silent with an ankle injury, is now coming back. And I think one key to this game on defense is, I think, with Mosley being out, it's a bummer, like him and Jordan Jenkins. Jordan Jenkins is our best pass rusher. Yep. One key to the game is, I think, you guys had a great running game last week, and I think your run game, because Carson Wentz, while he did look good, especially down in the red zone, he only threw for 170 yards. I'm not discrediting Carson Wentz in any way, but I think I'm speaking in the sense where the run game really kind of gave your offense a boost to where your offense became really unpredictable, and the Packers defensive coordinator was having a hard time adjusting to that offense because your run game was playing exceptionally well, especially with Jordan Howard. Now, you're going up against the defense. Well, first of all, our corners are not much better. You guys say that your corners are trash. Your cornerback duo was banged up. I think with a relatively healthy Ronald Darby, Rasul Douglas is doing a great job. I think he's definitely being a serviceable number 1 corner for you guys, especially with the contract you guys are paying him. I'm not sure if he's still under rookie contract or not. But our corners are not much better either. I think we're ranked 27th or 28th against the pass, because Tremaine Johnson, our so-called number 1 corner, we paid $72 million to. We paid him $45 million guaranteed. He played 8 snaps in the Patriot game. Are you serious, dude? So, unfortunately, thank God he can say that Quinnen Williams is coming back, because I know he's a rookie defensive tackle, but the guy helps with the defensive line. And I think being that the Jets are ranked 8th against the run, I think the Jets could have a shot to I can't say completely shut down, but I think they have a better chance to neutralize the Eagles' run game than the Packers did. So I think one key to the game is you neutralize the run game, and you want to hope that our run defense stays consistent to the point where the offense becomes more predictable. And what scares me with Carson Wentz being what he can be in the pocket and being that he's that tough guy to bring down, I'm thinking okay, with Jordan Jenkins out, with Mosley out, how are we going to make this? How are we going to kind of rely on defense? Because I think Deshaun Jackson being out could be bigger than you guys think, because Alshon Jeffrey's a great receiver. He can catch everything, but I think him being productive in the red zone could also be an impact as well. So it comes down to our pass rush. I think our defense, it comes down to neutralizing the run game, and I think it comes down to making the offense more predictable. And we got to get stops on defense. We got to get pressure on Carson Wentz. We got to stay consistent with the run defense.
You want to go, Joe?
Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback off that, because, even though we don't have Deshaun Jackson, what's made this offense so good is using these 2 tight end sets with Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. And, we know Zach Ertz doesn't have that breakaway. He's got that good route running, but he can't break tackles, as we all know. Dallas Goedert has shown a really different side and a total steal from the draft. and not only can get separation, but can outrun defenses as well. If Carson can hit his targets, then we're pretty much good. But Doug has used these 2 tight end sets, has done some crazy things, which substitute having a deep threat, but at the same time, you're adding more players on the field with a good route running.
Right.
And we're pretty much used to, I mean, we've been pretty much used to not having a deep threat. I mean, it's just like Deshaun gets hurt every year. This is just what happens with him. And I wasn't expecting him to come back. And I was honestly not even really wanting him to play this week at all, regardless. But at this point, with the tight ends and with this, with this run game, and you talked about the pass defense, we're ranked dead last in pass defense. We're the worst team pass defense, and you can see why. Rasul Douglas, talk about Rasul Douglas. We don't think of him as a number 1 corner, but he's looked the most consistent out of everybody. Vontae Maddox had a bad game Thursday night, but it wasn't as bad. He deflected some passes, but he had an up and down day. But Sidney Jones to us is looking like a total bust. And not really doing what he's supposed to do. He's getting hurt every year, and he came into this offseason healthy, and then all of a sudden he gets a hamstring injury Thursday night, and then then we're down to no corner. So Sidney Jones is going to be playing Sunday, and we really don't have anybody behind those 2 corners. You got, behind, 3 corners, you have Craig James, a practice squad guy. And I don't even know who else. We signed another practice squad corner today, or yesterday we did. Yeah. Corner, I think any quarterback really could throw on these corners. It doesn't even matter if it's Sam Darnold, Luke Falk. It doesn't matter who it is. You're going to get yards on these corners regardless. Now, this pass rush for Philly, of course, no Timmy Jernigan, not come back for a couple more weeks, and then Malik Jackson's out for the year. So what you're seeing right here is we actually developed a better pass rush against Green Bay last week, and that was the best pass rush we've had. But tackling Aaron Rodgers is not that easy because the guy just senses pressure like it's nothing, and he can slide out of everything that's coming towards him. So you have Fletcher Cox. You got Derek Barnett. You got Brandon Graham. They've been playing pretty good on the edge. I think the edge has been playing really well. But Hassan Ridgeway is another guy, has actually had a pretty good game, had some pressure Thursday night. But the problem is there's, 2 sacks for Philadelphia right now in a matter of a few games, not much. So honestly, with Deshaun Jackson not being in, Doug will substitute a lot of things and be a little bit creative, especially with, like I said, 2 tight end sets. So don't be surprised if Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz are on the field at the same time.
I probably won't be, because I think a lot of teams, when they go up against, because after Jamal Adams, you have a guy like Marcus May, who isn't exactly a coverage safety. So I think you could make the case where, if they're not using 2 tight end sets, you can make the case where you could line up Jamal Adams on Zach Ertz. But knowing Greg Williams, he's probably going to use Jamal Adams a lot in the box. And Jamal Adams can be great past the line of scrimmage. He's also a good run stopper safety, but he's also serviceable in coverage. And that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see Jamal lined up one-on-one with Zach Ertz, because Jamal is one of the best safeties in the league. And you saw how he can fare up against guys like Rob Gronkowski. He did it twice a year before Gronk retired. So I think I would like to see that. I'm saying it from a fan perspective, more or less, because that's a matchup I'm really willing to see. But your offensive line, being as established as it is, with guys like Jason Kelsey, with guys like Brandon Brooks, with guys like Lane Johnson that looks just like Joey. We got Lane Johnson 2.0 right here on the screen. But these established guys on the line, it's going to be a huge test for a defensive line, especially with guys like Henry Anderson and Leonard Williams, who we're relying on to be productive on that defensive line. That's why Quinnen Williams coming back, and hopefully that he can provide that flexibility for these guys, where now you don't have to see Leonard Williams getting double teamed. You don't have to see Henry Anderson looking lost. In regards to your defensive side of the ball, you were talking about Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and Derek Barnett. Our offensive line looks absolutely lost. And I know you guys have only had 3 sacks this year, and I think, what was it, the last 4 games? But I think this might be a game where you have those guys step up, because our offensive line is lost. And hope to God that coming out of the bye week, that throughout the last couple of weeks that the offensive line was able to get it together. Because we brought in Ryan Khalil from the Panthers, came out of retirement. He looks lost. Brian Winters looks lost. Our entire offensive line looks pretty lost. And that's going to concern me, especially if you have Luke Falk, at least with Sam Darnold coming back in. I'll get into that a little later. At least if Sam comes back and knowing the pocket presence he has as a quarterback, you can make the case, well, at least, you can have that. And you can have that kind of sense, which is why I want Sam to come back in. And like I said, I'll elaborate on that a little later. But this could be a game where your pass rush steps up. This could be a game where your defense could step up. Or this could be a game where our offense steps up. Like, it could go one of two ways. So I think looking at this, like, both teams obviously have weaknesses. You guys, obviously the Eagles being the team that are obviously the favorites. Granted, because you guys are in a much better position than us, clearly. You guys are obviously 2-2. You guys are coming off a phenomenal win on prime time against an undefeated team with one of the best quarterbacks of our generation this day. Not a lot of fans could say that. And that's just a tremendous confidence boost going into this game.
Yep, I'll take it from here, though. I was looking forward to this game before the season started because I thought the Jets did a lot to improve, but the Jets have been dealing with their injury bug, and we've been dealing with our injury bug. But the cards that are dealt to you are the cards that are dealt to you. So it's a tough break for the Jets matchup-wise. I would have to agree with you, Gangrene David. It would be the smart move to put Jamal Adams on Zach Ertz because, you don't have C.J. Mosley out there. You don't have any linebackers that can cover Ertz or Goddard. So if you don't do something, then you're going to get shredded in the middle of the field there. But on the outside, I mean, I just can't help but feel bad for Jamal Adams with this secondary. He's pretty much just back there by himself, being the only person that does his job in the whole secondary. I think Alshon Jeffrey is going to have his chances to make some big plays. I think Nelson Aguilar might even make some big plays, even though he struggled this year. I think it's up to the Eagles what they want to do. I think they'll pretty much be able to do. Do we want to run the ball? I think we'll be able to run the ball behind this powerful offensive line that we showed a week ago. This offensive line's been playing together for a long time, and they've played like the best O-line over the last couple of years, and a lot of consistency there. I think they really found their identity in that game with Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders, both of them running for a combined 176 rushing yards. So that Green Bay Packers defense really got exposed, and that was really the matchup we were looking at going into that game because they had struggled before then. I think the Jets are in for a rough outing. Our secondary is probably still going to get torn up a little bit just because you got guys that haven't played. You got guys like Craig James that haven't played, even though Malcolm Jenkins teamed up to make final play to tip the ball to Nigel Bradham in the end zone. Orlando Scandrick, who you just signed off the streets, like he ain't gonna do shit. He is Robbie Anderson should be able to run right by him, but there's not a lot that concerns me about this game. Not really concerned about the Jets' defense. Their pass rush, I'm not worried about them going up against our offensive line. Their secondary, I'm not, like I just said, I'm not worried about. I think we can run the ball. I think we can throw the ball. I think we can do whatever. But in the end, I just think it's going to be too much for the Jets to deal with. And the Eagles, I think the Eagles got a chance here to really turn the season around. That win in Green Bay was huge. And you look at what the Dallas Cowboys got to deal with. Dallas coming off their first loss, they could very well be at 3-2, and we could very well be at 3-2. And the NFC East could be all tied up when it really seemed like a lot that the Eagles were heading in the wrong direction and the Cowboys were heading in the right direction. Dallas had to play – they got to play Teddy Bridgewater. We had to go into Lambeau Field to play Aaron Rodgers. But now the script is a little bit flipped. Will we be playing Sam Darnold? Will we be playing Luke Falk? That's yet to be determined. But either way, I think the Eagles are in a position to get a nice win at home, and really start to get their season rolling in the right direction and start to win a few games.
All right, I guess I'll take that from here. One thing you also brought up, I kind of forgot what I was going to say, man. So I do agree with you. I think this is definitely going to be a challenge. I'm not saying, I'm 100% not saying we're going to win this game because, like I said, you guys are in a much better position right now, especially since, like I said, you're coming off a phenomenal primetime win on the road, and you're coming back home to play a team that they're hungry themselves, and especially because they're coming off a bye week. There's no excuses. Like, I understand that the Eagles are a good team on both sides of the ball, or at least that they can fight on both sides of the ball. Like, I think your guys' record can really state more than what it really means. Because at the end of the day, like, at least your offense is able to get past midfield. Your offense is able to get in the goddamn end zone. And that's something I want to see. Like, I want to talk about Sam Darnold now because this whole stick with the mono thing has been tricky, and there's been a lot of spotlights revolving around whether he's going to come back in this game. I mentioned this in the earlier stream that I was just on, and I was trying to mention this to you, Philly Jim, like throughout the weekend. Sam Darnold, if he plays this game, because a lot of Jets fans love the kid, and a lot of Jets fans, they're concerned out of fear that, and I understand where that's coming from, but at the end of the day, like, I know mono is not something that you can really screw with. Trust me. But however, if the dude's cleared to play and Adam Gase is clearing him to play, if Adam Gase makes a decision to play him, that's because he's cleared to play. Now, trust me, Adam Gase, I know, is not the smartest coach, but I damn for sure know that he knows better than to put Sam Darnold's life out there, especially against a defense that can really get after it. Like, trust me, Derek Barnett, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, they're not guys you want to screw with. So I think if Sam Darnold plays in this game, Sam Darnold gives us the best chance of offense. I'm not saying he's going to lead us to a win, which, don't get me wrong, I have faith in the kid that he could do it because of the talent that he can provide as a quarterback. So if I'm Adam Gase and Sam Darnold is playing in this game, he had 2 weeks to pretty much get his head out of his ass with his conservative nonsense. If I'm Adam Gase and you're confident in this quarterback because this quarterback is the reason why you came here. This quarterback is the reason why you wanted to coach this job. Granted, because, you pretty much seized control of everything, and that's why the Jets hired you. Adam Gase wanted to come here to develop a young quarterback. He mentioned this in his opening press conference with the googly eyes, the one where he went like this.
Oh, God.
The taco.
Yeah, I remember.
The taco video. Oh, my God.
No, but speaking from that, Sam Darnold, with the talent he has as a quarterback, if you go back to last season, his rookie year, when he came off that ankle injury, you saw the resiliency flash out of him as a quarterback where you saw him pretty much come out the last 6 games. Like, I know you guys were talking about how you guys went toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers. Can a lot of people say that a 21-year-old rookie quarterback went toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers? Because believe it or not, he almost led the Jets to a win against him last year. In his rookie year, pretty much when the game meant nothing, Sam Darnold still went out there and had the best game of his career because he was looking good as a quarterback. He was making the plays. He was finding his guys. And that's what I want to see him coming out of this game. I want to see Sam Darnold start to roll out of the pocket. I want to see him extend the play. Let him use his feet. Lead the receiver on. Find your man. And not only will it give you the best chance to keep the play alive, it'll also give him the best chance of him getting clobbered because, trust me, with the way our offensive line's been playing, like, I get it. He's poised in the pocket. He's a pocket passer, and that's what he does it best. And that's what I remember him when I was watching film on him coming out of USC. You want to allow him to extend the play. Let Sam Darnold utilize the pocket and just be aggressive with your quarterback. Maximize your resources on offense because if you're running Le'Veon Bell into the ground, Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz, they can clearly adjust that easily just like any other defensive coordinator can. And Le'Veon can get run into the ground, and your offense just becomes more predictable. That's why, like, I'm saying, like, you want to make the Eagles' offense more predictable. You want to shut down the run game and have Carson Wentz pass the ball. Same thing goes otherwise. You got to make your offense unpredictable. And the Jets, believe it or not, I do think they have talent. I think they have talent. I think people are underestimating what talent we really have. I think they're just being wildly misused. Robbie Anderson, for instance, Joey, you brought up a very good point where he's a phenomenal deep threat. Like, go back in 2017, he almost had 1,000 yards. Josh McCown throwing him the ball, and he was one of the better deep threats in the league at the time. I think he was behind Tyreek Hill and one other guy. And he's obviously trying to develop more into that one-trick pony. They also signed Jamison Crowder, who he's supposed to be the slot guy going right over the middle of the field, and Demaryius Thomas, who they had to trade a 6th-round pick to New England for him because Quincy Newton went out for the year. So there's no excuses going into this game. I'm not saying we're going to win, but the Jets, especially if Sam comes back, you got to go into Philly, you got to play to win because you got to turn your season around. You had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. There are absolutely no excuses. You go there, you play to win, be aggressive on offense, score some points. You're going up against a very talented Eagles team coming off a primetime win with a lot of momentum built right out of them. Use your quarterback, roll them out of the pocket, use your resources, maximize your resources, and play the balanced offense that we've been begging for throughout the entire offseason. Use Ty Montgomery too. The Jets have playmakers. Use them. Maximize your resources. That's my key on offense for this game.
All right, David. You know what? I gotta say, I really like the passion, and that was a good. You brought up some good points, but there's a couple of your points that I just want to counter a little bit. I heard you in the beginning say, you know, if Sam Darnold's medically cleared, then he's medically cleared, and I'm going to tell you right now. I was in the same position as you about a year and some change ago when Carson Wentz was coming off his torn ACL, and Nick Foles, he didn't have a lot to work with at the beginning of the year, so I didn't take it too hard on him, but at the same time, I was just like, man, we got to get Carson Wentz back out there, and that's pretty much the approach the coaching staff took. And I'll tell you right now, Carson Wentz, when he was cleared for contact again, he was not ready to be out there. So I'm just gonna say, just hear me out. Just because the guy is cleared, don't expect everything to be rocking and rolling right away. It takes a long time. It took Carson Wentz a few games to actually his first few games back. I was pretty much like, who is this guy? And pretty much the whole season, I just didn't know who the guy was. I just didn't know the guy was. So, but Darnold does give you guys a better chance to win and everything. And for your sake, I hope he plays, and I hope he comes back from this whole mono thing and has a really good career. But that's just a bug I would put in your ear. Just think about that, man, because I was all hyped up when Carson Wentz was coming back last year, and boy, do I wish they would have even if it would have cost us games. I mean, I wish they would have not let him play until week 8 or something. It would have been. I think it would have been a lot better for him, and I think it would have been better for the team and the future of his career and the future of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. But one thing about Sam Darnold you brought up is a lot of obviously there's no. A lot of leagues rely on these backup quarterbacks because a lot of these teams, the Saints without Breeze, the Panthers without Newton, the Colts without Luck, the Jaguars without Nick Foles now. These teams are finding ways to win backup quarterbacks. You guys did it 2 years ago. Well, you guys did it 2 years in a row, basically, kind of with Nick Foles. You won the Super Bowl. You went to the playoffs because of Nick Foles. And I knew for a fact that Nick Foles, I think, would probably provide his best service on the Eagles. I made that same case to my brother, who's an Eagles fan. Those of you in the chat who don't know, I live with an Eagles fan. My brother is a huge Eagles fan. And him and I talk about this all the time, where my brother loves Carson Wentz. He loves Zach Ertz. And just like you guys, he loves the direction that the Eagles are going in. And don't get me wrong, I think he does go in a really good direction. But I think one thing about Sam Darnold is I think in this situation, because we're still Sam Darnold is still relatively a young guy. And obviously backup quarterback should be, no matter what quarterback is in, you still got to find ways to win. Right. But in a scenario where you're still trying to develop this young guy, this guy isn't a veteran yet. This guy is in his second year. He's 22 years old with a lot to prove. And he came out as the third overall pick in 2018 draft, coming out of a school where a lot of people proclaim that all the quarterbacks coming out of that school are busts, which really just irks the hell out of me because I can't tell you how many comparisons I had to freaking hear. Oh, he's the next Mark Sanchez. He's the next Carson Palmer. Like, it just pissed me off. And I think in our scenario, I want to see Sam continue to grow, especially since Joe Douglas, your former scout player personnel, who's now our general manager, we picked an absolute idiotic time to hire this guy. I'm not saying that we shouldn't, like, you get the sense where I'm coming from. Like, we gave our former general manager an entire draft and a cap space, and we fired him in May. And Joe Douglas pretty much had limited options to work with. And so far, like, there were certain opportunities that Joe Douglas had in front of him and that he could have seized. Like, he could have gotten the kicker situation ratified. He didn't do it. He could have traded for some guys. Didn't do it necessarily. But if Sam comes back, especially starting this game, I want to see the kid continue to grow. I want to see the kid continue to flourish because the dude can, like you said, Philly Jim, the kid can have a great career ahead of him. And, like, I love the kid. Like, I love the kid coming out of USC. Like, I made the case in the draft where I thought he was going number 1 overall. And he's a 22-year-old blue-collar guy with a lot to prove, with a big chip on his shoulder. And a lot of people are already calling him a bust. The dude's went through a lot. And I think one thing I like about him is the resiliency as a quarterback, and that's kind of what I see going into the game. So I think from a perspective from a fan perspective, I want to see Sam come out. I want to see Sam continue to grow. I want to see Sam become that quarterback that we're expecting him to be. We've been searching for a quarterback for years, and I think Sam Darnold is that guy. I love the dude, and I want to see him continue to grow as a quarterback. I do.
Well, you know what, dude? I totally understand where you're coming from, man. Like, I feel like it took the Philadelphia Eagles after Donovan McNabb exited. It took the Eagles a while to find the guy, and we went, with Michael Vick. He had a good season when he took over for Kevin Kolb, but we went from Kevin Kolb, and then we had Michael Vick, and then Michael Vick was hurt. And then Nick Foles comes in, and Nick Foles gets on fire. Then Nick Foles gets hurt, and then Nick Foles gets traded for Sam Bradford. And then Sam Bradford comes in, and, Mark Sanchez in between. Your boy Mark Sanchez played for us as a backup when that year that Nick Foles got hurt before he was eventually traded for Bradford. And then we had Bradford, and, it was just a huge mess. And then, Chip Kelly was fired, and Howie Roseman in the front office decided, they were going to go out and find the guy. And, ever since then, Carson Wentz has pretty much gotten Eagles fans excited. So I understand where you're coming from with all the excitement you have for Sam, and you want to see him grow as a player and all of that. So, we'll just have to keep our eyes on whether or not he's going to play this week. But yeah, I understand, bro.
Yeah, like I really hope he does because, like, I want you guys, like, I really don't want to have to talk about where you guys have to play. Dude, as far as I'm concerned, Luke Falk is a practice squad quarterback, nothing more. Like, I would much rather have Brock Osweiler or you know what? I'll say it. I would much rather have someone like Colin Kaepernick than Luke Falk. And you want to know why we have him? He's an Adam Gase guy. Whoop-de-frickin-do.
Well, I gotta be honest with you when it comes to that. This is just my opinion. And I don't know how you view Adam Gase, but the way I see him is he reminds me of Gabe Kapler, the manager for the Philadelphia Phillies. And I don't know how much you're a huge Yankees fan, but with Gabe Kapler, I can just tell you that with Gabe, there's something about him where he sucks the life out of the Phillies. So with Adam Gase, I feel like he's a type of coach that he can straight up suck the life out of your players and your whole organization. So, if I was the New York Jets, there's no way in hell I would have given him the job when they were looking for their coaching search. So, I'm not. I wouldn't be too thrilled if I was a Jets fan with with Adam Gase because he has the same kind of characteristics, the same kind of like MO as Gabe Kapler, and I just think he sucks the life out of the New York Jets. This is my opinion.
We didn't even want him. No one wanted this guy. That was my biggest fear that we hired him. Like, I was looking at Todd Monken. Dude, the guy was a phenomenal offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers. He led the Buccaneers to a high offensive performance every year. I was looking for guys like Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator. Mike McCarthy was my ideal choice. Like, that resume speaks for itself. But, dude, what I'm starting to see from – like, I hated the Adam. I was not fond of the Adam Gase hire. Like, he was not my first choice. He was probably my last choice. But like every fan would have to do, I had to buy in and I had to support it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this guy can show me something. Maybe he'll learn from his shtick in Miami. But as far as I'm concerned, he's doing the same stuff he's doing in Miami. He's freaking blaming players. He's not showing accountability for himself, and he's just playing ultra conservative on offense. Like, dude, go back to that Patriot game. Like, I know you guys are watching the Eagles playing the Lions, but we were down 16 points, and on 4th and 2, he punts the ball down 3 minutes to go. Like, dude, Doug Peterson would never do something like that. Bill Belichick for sure would never do something like that. Sean Payton would never do something like that. Like, my biggest concern, my biggest fear, and believe it or not, Jet Central hit the nail on the head right there, is that Adam Gase is going to turn. Adam Gase is the offensive version of Todd Bowles. That's my biggest concern. Ultra conservative, punting the ball away when down a certain amount of scores with this amount of time left in the game. We're just quitting on the team. It's just mind-boggling. Like, I never wanted to begin with, but hopefully, coming out of the bye week, like, dude, you had 2 weeks to turn this around, and it all starts with the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, I'm not the fan saying that we're going to win, but this is a game we must win. This is a game where we got to go into the link. We got to play hard. If your quarterback comes back, maximize your resources. Get after the Eagles' run game. Get after Carson Wentz. Do what you need to do. The pressure now falls on Adam Gase to turn his shtick around. And thank God for that early bye week. You had 2 weeks. I know you guys are coming off 10 days of rest. You had 2 weeks. 2 weeks to turn your shtick around. Get your offensive line together. Get your defensive guys together. And if your quarterback comes back, use him. Use him effectively. Put him in that situation where you're confident in that guy to go out there and beat these guys. Save your season, Adam Gase. It starts with the Eagles. Go to Philadelphia and find a way to win. Point blank, period.
Yeah, the Eagles are the total opposite coming off a bye week. Like, I hate bye weeks for this team because they play so bad. They play so slow and so bad. I'm just glad that it's been 10 days and that's it. I'm glad that, I guess you can call it a mini bye, an extra 3 days, an extra few days, whatever you want to call it. But going to this game, I think me and Philly Jim kind of differentiate a little bit on the game. Like, I think Philly Jim is more confident in this game, which I am too, but I'm not going to put any team down that's going through a hard time and going to say that it's an easy win, because it could be an easy win, but the other flip of the coin is that this Philadelphia Eagles football team could shoot themselves in the foot at any moment during this game, and it's not like it's never happened before. You take the first game of the season. I know the opener is the opener, but against the Redskins, and we couldn't score any. We looked like, I didn't know what we looked like out there, and I was getting really mad. And I knew that this wasn't the team that they should be showcasing to the fans right now, because it just wasn't right. Then scoring 30 points in the second half like it was nothing, and saying to myself, well, that's the team I've been looking for. So when I go into this game, the Jets win against the Philadelphia Eagles if they stop this Eagles offense on third down. Third down is very key. The Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz is the best on third down. Top team, third down. And I can see why. And if you're the best team in third down, it is really hard to it's really hard for the Eagles not to lose games when you're still on the field. If the Jets can get the Eagles off the field on third down, after third down, then they could probably win this game. If they have a pass rush, they could probably win this game. But like I said, The Eagles are going to be working the middle of the field because we know the Jets linebackers, we have, with Mosley being out and, the other linebacker that was hurt earlier in the year, so there's work in the middle of that field is going to be very important. And the Jets offensively just really have to, Adam Gase he just has to look like a different coach getting this team prepared and going to this game and getting some positive yards and having the trust in his players to follow what he wants to do. Because, when Doug Pearson goes on fourth down, he will do it. He will do it a lot. And he is not afraid. Like, we're up, what was it, Jim? We went for a 2-point conversion in that Thursday night game where we could have went up by a field, we could have went by, scored a touchdown and then kicked the field goal, be up by 8 points. But Doug wants to go for 2. You know what I mean? So you screw that up and the Green Bay can come back and tie the game up, So, Doug will do that a lot. And, the Jets need the pass rush against this Eagles offensive line. This Eagles offensive line is if this offensive line plays to par, it is very tough to get through this offensive line. It's not easy. It's stars across the board. But the Jets just need to stop the Eagles on third down. That's what's going to be most important, because it doesn't matter if it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 14, not even just that, but these running backs. Doug Pearson's not using Darren Sproles as much anymore, which I'm glad. I think, Jim, you probably agree too, because we got sick and tired of that. It was too much, okay? We traded a 6th-round conditional for Jordan Howard, and which was a steal trade. I mean, steal trade. And the Eagles are utilizing Jordan Howard now to where he should have been utilized in Chicago. And just by watching that Chicago Bears-Vikings game, I can see why Tariq Cohen's the man. I can see why Tariq Cohen does pretty much everything and really didn't need Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard pretty much was just a finisher, was tiring defenses with his bull rush. And other than that, that was it. But Doug is utilizing Jordan Howard in the pass game. Darren Sproles in the past, he's utilizing every single running back on top of these receivers, these tight ends, on top of this offensive line blocking the way they have been. And it just looks, you have all these running backs are going route for passes now on top of it. Miles Sanders is looking pretty damn good. And this offensive line, without these running backs, so this offensive line, that's where it starts first. And if the offensive line's not doing anything, these running backs, like any running back in the league, will not do anything if your offensive line is not doing the right thing. So the Jets just need to beat Carson Wentz on third down, and they need to get a pass rush, and they need to throw upfield against these pretty bad corners that we have that are consistent, and they're not, and they are going to get shredded. Like when we went to that Falcons game, I said, Julio Jones, Devontae Adams, these guys, they're going to break for 150 like it's easy. Like we're expecting every good receiver for every game to break on us. That's why we've been trying to go after a corner. That's why we want Jalen Ramsey as a Philadelphia Eagle so damn badly right now, or any corner, because I'm not taking this game too lightly. I'm confident in it, but I am not going to write off the New York Jets like they're not going to put up a fight, because I know for a fact that there will be a fight. They're backed into a corner right now. They could be 0-4. I mean, and it's hard to come back from 0-4. And the Eagles kind of saved their season last week against the Green Bay Packers on Thursday night. But, are they feeling themselves too much? Do they have something to prove? They're home, but are they going to put their foot down? Are they going to put their foot on the Jets and not let go? So this game could go either way, but I think the only way the Eagles are going to lose this game is the Eagles. Unfortunately, they are their own worst enemy, because they have screwed up a million times, because they have a lot of penalties right now. They have screwed up. And this cornerback situation, it frustrates me like crazy that they haven't traded for anybody yet, and it's just to this point where any offense could really throw. That's why I don't even care if Luke Falk's in the game. Just say if Darnold's not even playing, if Luke Falk comes in there and starts throwing balls, like he's going to get receptions. he's gonna be able to throw the ball on these corners. I mean, it is what it is. And our defensive line has taken a little bit of a hit this year. But even watching from Thursday night, it actually elevated. It actually looked a lot better. And Jim Schwartz is actually blitzing a little bit more because he can't, in 2017, 2018 per se, he just had, a 4-man pass rush, and that's it. You don't need to blitz or do anything. 3-man pass rush, put more put more coverage out there. But it should be, it's going to be an interesting game. And I just want to see who's ready to play this game, and that's it.
I think that's what it really comes down to. I think it comes down to who's going to step up. Is our offense going to step up against your injury-riddled or struggling secondary? Is your defense going to step up and actually put some legitimate pressure? Is our defense going to step up? Or are they going to remain consistent with the run with the run defense? There's a lot of questions. I think this game kind of does revolve around who's going to step up. And right now, because considering like the position you guys in, the talent you have on your team, you guys are in that better position to step up. And I mentioned this with no-fly zone because this could be a game where the Eagles defense can really make a legitimate statement if Adam Gase clearly didn't learn a goddamn thing. You were talking about Miles Sanders. Now, honestly, I like the kid, and I think the Eagles are going to run Jordan Howard a lot more, considering that Miles Sanders is still a rookie, and our run defense is pretty solid, believe it or not. Like a lot of people can say what they want about our defense, but our run defense they're ranked 8th in the league right now. I think they're only allowing like 3 yards a carry, which is actually not that bad. I mean, the running backs we played so far. I mean, we played Devin Singletary and Frank Gore, and then we had Sony Michel and Rex Burkhead because James White didn't play that game. And so I think one other thing that I want to bring up is the ridiculous pre-snap penalties. This is something I forgot to bring up. We cannot be having the ball in 1st and long, 2nd and long, third. Like we cannot be having the ball in 3rd and 20 every drive where we're at our own 10-yard line and we can't move down. We can't move down the goddamn field for crap because at this point, every time we get any sort of these kinds of penalties, whether it's a holding penalty, whether it's a pre-snap penalty, I'm like, yeah, they're not getting the first down. Punt the ball away because it's predictable at this point. Adam Gase cannot get conservative on these plays because a lot of good teams in those kind of situations can find ways to keep drives alive, even in those 3rd and long situations. That's what we need to do here. Like, we have to limit penalties. We can't be committing penalties, especially if they're negating big plays. We did that in the Brown game. We did that in the Bill game, for crying out loud. I think we got maybe 2 or 3 big plays robbed out of us because of penalties. And, if we keep committing these penalties, it's just going to give the Eagles more momentum. So I think we got to limit penalties, especially pre-snap.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go back to a couple of things that Joey brought up. He brought up how the Eagles are like the number 1 team in the on 3rd down, and the Eagles back in 2017 when they won the Super Bowl, they were the 2nd team in 3rd down conversions. So the Eagles, compared to last season, are up quite a bit. They're converting on 56% of 3rd downs, and last year was only 41%. The Eagles are converting on a 69%, nice, in the red zone. So one of the top teams in red zone efficiency, one of the top teams in 3rd down conversions. Scoring, really cashing in on the red zone is really what's important. So that brings me to my next point about the Jets. I mean, if the Jets are going to have opportunities to stay in this game and the Jets do get in the red zone, you cannot kick field goals. You cannot settle for the 3 because the Eagles get the ball and they get in the red zone. Chances are they're going to score. Chances are they're going to put 7 points on the board. So the Jets, if they get a good return on special teams and they get good field position, they get the ball – they get the ball at the 45-yard line to start the drive. They have to do something with that. If the Eagles have a turnover, if they turn the ball over, if Miles Sanders puts the ball on the ground, if Carson Wentz throws an interception, you have to cash in on those kind of opportunities. So
agreed.
that's pretty much what I think the Jets have to do if they are going to win this game. So those are pretty much the big things for the Jets.
Yeah, like you mentioned about special teams. Well, first of all, I miss Andre Roberts because that dude was a phenomenal special teams player. He was an all-pro returner, and I can't believe we let him and Jason Myers walk. Knowing that when you have Mike McCagnon as your general manager, what would you expect? I think, I mean, at least James Dolan makes him look good, but that's completely irrelevant. Going back to what you said about the turnovers, like we committed 4 turnovers against the Bills and we failed to put up anything. That's kind of concerning to me because 1 touchdown in 3 games is just unacceptable. Like injuries can only excuse so much to the sense where maybe we are playing like complete trash. We're 0-3. Like stop with the excuses. Like sooner or later, we might have to start talking about draft and free agency before we know it. And like it just sucks because you guys know how excited I was going into the season because I was like, we brought in Le'Veon, we got Mosley, we got these guys, new coaching staff, we got Joe Douglas, we got all these guys. And now like we're just in a complete mess. Like it's torture. Like it's like it really all started with Sam getting mono. Like we blew a 16-point lead. Sam went out with mono. CJ Mosley injures his groin, and on top of that, you have your other receiver out for the year with a neck injury. You have your other linebacker out for the year. Not to mention you have your tight end suspended, who luckily he's coming back next week against the Cowboys, who will try to beat for you guys, by the way.
Please do.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, like it's just been complete torture, and like you can make a case for thank God for this bye week because like now you're coming off the bye week and there's no excuses going forward, like I said, and like these first 3 weeks has just been absolute torture. Like I couldn't have imagined this team like with no suspensions, like literally nothing went wrong. Like Sam was fine, Mosley was fine, Williamson was fine. Like we had all our guys, like every one of them. I could say I can make the case where we could be 2-1. We could have actually had a lot of momentum running into this game, but let's face it, at the end of the day, injuries only excuse so much where now you're 0-3. Your team is playing like complete trash. They look completely lost on both sides of the ball. Like the defense can only hold so much. The offense looks completely lost, especially the offensive line. And now if Sam comes back, then like I said, you got to be aggressive with what you have. So, like I said, it starts with this game. Like I know you guys are probably going to beat us anyway, but this has to be the opportunity where we have to turn our season around. And I know Eagles fans are probably going to bash me saying that I don't know what I'm talking about, that I'm some delusional fan, and I probably think like, oh, like just give up or something like that. And like I get the confidence, but I'm going with what I got.
So if you're saying, if this turns out to be a real crappy season, is Adam Gase to blame, especially with the play calling, or are you putting this on injury? It's hard to really put, like, injuries are part of the game regardless, but Adam Gase just has to work with what he's got. Like, if our team was 0-3 right now, like, you still got weapons on the field regardless. I know, like you're telling us we have our quarterback, and I trust me, I understand because I don't know what we do without Carson Wentz, especially, you know what I mean?
Joey, I don't mean to cut you off there, but I'm saying you have your quarterback in the sense where you can continue to see him flourish. I want to see my quarterback continue to grow. Like I made that case earlier. That's why, like, when I say like just be glad you have your quarterback, I'm talking about in the sense of the quarterback growing as a player, not exactly in the sense of having the best chance to win.
Right.
But like this team has talent this team does have talent. Like whether it's on the players, whether it's miscommunication, like if the offensive line is not performing up to par, even if you're benching guys and they're still not playing up to par, it does fall flat on Adam Gase. Like Adam Gase has to work with what he has, but at the end of the day, you shouldn't quit on the team. Like, dude, listen, I understand the injuries, but I expect competent football. I expect competent football from my team, especially like you did not spend your cap bringing in guys like Bell and Mosley, and you did not draft guys like Quinn and Williams. Like you did not build this entire new regime to suck. I'm sorry. Like any Eagle fan in the chat can bash me for saying this, but this team has too much talent to suck. Like you're not developing these guys like and the Jets have a lot of young guys on their team too. And bringing in Bell and Mosey, there were supposed to be these flexible guys on both sides of the ball. Like it's mind-boggling how torturous the season's gone from a Jets fan perspective. And like you guys know how much I ride and die with my team. Like I go to games and I continue.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, like I create content on my team day in and day out, and like man. Like I would have had something exciting to talk about this season because a lot of Jets fans were expecting this team to potentially playoff push or be a team that can compete and play for meaningful games in December, and like be in the contention for the wild card spot. So to hear the word rebuilding again just absolutely sickens me because I've been hearing it for the last 3 years. Like I don't want another top draft pick. I want a good direction going forward. That's why going forward, like realistically, we could be 0-6. And like I said, this team should win no less than 6 games. I think if this is like a 2-12 or 3-13 season, they're like fans are already starting to call for Adam Gaze's head. But I have a feeling they're not going to fire Adam Gaze because, like, think about it. Like this dude was responsible for the firing of Mike McCagnon practically, and like you fire this guy and you put Sam Darnold under a third offensive system. That's a terrible way to ruin a young quarterback. Now, I know people are going to say, like, if it's the bad offensive system, why don't you keep it in there anyway? Well, here's the thing, though. Like, think about how bad this gets. A new coach, a new offensive coordinator, and Sam's got to learn that, like, in his third year, where, like, you want to see him continue to flourish under a consistent offensive system. That's just that.
Yep.
What about, like last year, right? Like we were 4-6, a mess. We were a total mess. We had injuries from the Super Bowl. Like at the end of the Super Bowl year, we had injuries lingering into the next year. We were 4-6. We were 4-6. We had 13 cornerback changes. Rodney McLeod was out. Our safety, Rodney McLeod, was out. Like we were a mess. And Philly Jim could probably elaborate on this because like the one thing that this team has a really strong culture, and this team fights every game, no matter how many injuries, next man up mentality. I mean, it's amazing. And honestly, we could be sitting whether it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4, whatever it is, we should be undefeated right now. It could have happened. This was by one catch, one possession. The Detroit Lions game, we dropped 7 balls. I mean, it's all right there. But Jim, what can you say about this Eagles team, especially like the resiliency of this team, like and how they stick, regardless of how many injuries they do have, and it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even look like. I mean, we're used to the cornerback play, of course, but just describe this, just the resiliency of this team.
Well. There's a lot that goes into it, I think. I'll start with relationships. I think fans from the outside looking in don't really understand, like, that there's relationships involved in the game of football. And when you talk about Zach Ertz and Carson Wentz, these two guys, they're pretty much – I mean, they're pretty much so close to each other that they have, like, a telepathic bond or some shit. I don't know what it is. It's like it's like some psychic shit. Like they always know, they're always on the same page. I think relationships matter. I think the guys in this locker room are just really close with each other, and they're all willing to make sacrifices to win. And guys are willing to take pay cuts and do whatever it is to win another Super Bowl. I mean, you're seeing a lot of guys take restructures and to just create even a little bit more cap room. So I think that goes into it. And Lane Johnson, after the Detroit Lions game, said something that pretty much stuck with me. They were coming at him after the game. It's right after the emotional loss to Detroit where we dropped 7 passes, should have won that damn game, should have won the Atlanta game, should be 4-0. But we are where our record says that we were, and we were 1-2 at the time, and we were going into Green Bay. Green Bay was rolling. Green Bay was 3-0. Green Bay led the league in sacks. Green Bay their defense led the league in takeaways until they played us. And Lane Johnson, he's standing at his locker. He goes, "All right, well, we're going into Green Bay and we're playing this great Packers team, but hey, we've been in this situation before, so if you guys are going to chop us down, then why don't you come chop us down?" Same thing happened last year. Same thing happened when Carson Wentz tore his ACL. Nick Foles really got off to a rough start, really had some horrible games that year against the Oakland Raiders on Christmas Day, and even got off to a rough start against the Atlanta Falcons. Everybody counting the team out. The team they play differently when they're not expected to do shit. So I don't know what that is. I think it speaks volumes to who Doug Peterson is as a coach. Like he's not scared of anyone. When injuries happen, he has a way of weathering the storm with these guys. I think he's just a really good players coach. Guys love playing for him. Guys that haven't even played that much, they just go out and you see effort type plays, like the plays, just never giving up on a play. I got to go back to Crayvon LeBlanc, and Joey mentioned how many times we had corner changes. It was like 14, 15 different lineups with our defensive backs. But one guy we picked up was Crayvon LeBlanc, and Jim Schwartz didn't even know who this guy was. And there's one play that sticks out to me in the wild card game. He's the wide receiver for the Bears is wide open down the field. He catches the ball, but Crayvon LeBlanc, he doesn't give up on the play, and he rips the ball away from Anthony Miller to force an incomplete pass, and that pretty much that was pretty much a difference in the game right there. And those are the type of plays that just come to my mind when I think about the Philadelphia Eagles. So it starts with the coach. It starts with Doug Peterson. Like I said, guys love playing for him. Guys want to win for him. Guys are willing to put it all on the line. When backs are against the wall, when the going gets tough get going. This Eagles team, that's why I really felt like this Eagles team was primed for a win going into last week, because the writing was on the wall for them. It was exactly like last season when they were 4-6. Got swept by Dallas. Dallas was pretty much running away with the NFC East. We needed a lot of things to go our way, and you got to play Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles Rams went to the Super Bowl that year. Los Angeles Rams were they're one of the top 2 seeds in the NFC. Also had to go against a red-hot Houston Texans team later, a couple of weeks after that, and they pretty much started 0-3, and they won 9 in a row, and they were the AFC South champions. So this team just banded together at that point. So when that happens, the team bands together. So I think it's very, very important that a team has a coach that can get their guys to band together. When you're 0-3, when you're 0-4, when you're 0-5, don't just quit on the season. Keep playing. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So what the New York Jets have to do, and I know it's more likely that he's not going to get fired. Because think about the amount of injuries they had to start the year.
No.
In most cases, guys are going to say, well, it's not fair to fire a guy after that. But you have to, at some point, the Jets are going to have to say, do our guys really want to play for this guy?
Right.
Can this guy, as a head coach, can he galvanize the team when the shit gets stirring, when it just doesn't look like things are going well. When shit hits the wall, can he say, all right, guys, we're a team. We're going to play New York Jets football, and this is what we're going to be about. We're going to win. No more bullshit. Is he going to be able to do that? Right. I don't know. And I would have to say, if I was a Jets fan, I would have to say no. And it's like I said, I compared him to Gabe Kapler. Gabe Kapler is a horrible manager for the Philadelphia Phillies. He sucks the life out of the team. I think Gase sucks the life out of the Jets, and they could have done a lot better than that. So that's pretty much what I would say about the Philadelphia Eagles culture and why I think it's very, very important that you have a real coach that can galvanize your guys and really make them. You really need a coach that your guys want to play for if you really want to reach the ultimate level of success, which is contended for championships.
Well, yeah, that's 100% agree. I 1000% agree with everything you just said here, and this is why I kept making the case where the bye week is now where it becomes very important, because Adam Gase, believe it or not, gave the Jets the entire bye week off to kind of regroup themselves, because as athletes, first of all, the team is pretty much disgruntled with the way they've started, and this bye week, what are you really practicing for? Take the bye week off, go study film, rejuvenate yourself and rest up your body, and then they come back into practice on Wednesday, and Adam Gase has to unite the team together. That's why you have 2 weeks to do that, and it all starts with the Eagles game. You got to unite your team together, and you got to make sure that you want your guys to play for you, especially your quarterback, because before you know it, my concern is that Jamal Adams is going to want out eventually. Look at what he did in Miami. Jay Ajayi eventually wanted out. What else? Mike Pouncey wanted out. A lot of guys in Miami wanted out. Jarvis Landry went to sign with the Cleveland Browns because he basically wanted out. It sucked. It was a combustible situation in Miami, and I made the case where it's a combustible situation here, where if this team is starting out very flat, then it could turn into something bad. In regards to firing Adam Gase, like I said, I don't think it's going to happen this year. He will get at least 1 or 2 more years here. And what was I going to say? That's kind of the shtick here. They're not going to fire Adam Gase. The team, you're going to want to have the team play for him, which really sucks. And I know what it's like having to want to play for your coach. I'm a student athlete myself. I swim for my school, and I want to swim for my coach because my coach, his goal is to win a championship every year. He makes that case every year. And myself and every other swimmer that swims on that team, they want to win a championship. They want to go forward. You don't play for pride. You don't play for participation trophies. You play to win. And that's what I want to see out of this team. Listen, our swim team, especially myself, we swim to win. We swim to strive. And that's what I want to see out of our team going forward. That's what the bye week is for. You regroup your guys together, and then come the Cowboys game when you get your guys coming off suspension. You have to regroup your guys coming together, and this is what the bye week is for. And in regards to Doug Peterson, I think the dude has made a phenomenal step as a head coach, because I know he had the same kind of thing. He had the same kind of thing. He had the same kind of buzz when Adam Gase when he was first hired, because I know he was heavily bashed by the media. Especially, I'll quote Jason Kelsey on this one. By some clown named Mike Lombardi. Call him the least coach in the NFL. Trust me, I watch that speech all the time. I love that speech. I don't know if all people at the center make that kind of speech. But with that being said, Philly Jim, I 100% agree with your point. You got to regroup your guys, and this all falls on Adam Gase, because if not, this is going to be very combustible. And unless there's a complete locker room fault where the locker room just turns absolutely chaotic, we're not firing Adam Gase. Because at this point, the only thing you can hope for is it's 3 weeks into the year. Granted, with the job he's been doing, it's been only 3 games, and there's still a long season ahead of us. I understand we're not exactly in a good position, but that doesn't mean that the opportunity to turn your season around is gone. You have 13 games to go. Find ways to win against the Eagles. Find ways to win against the Cowboys. Find ways to win against the Patriots. Turn your season around, because after that stretch, you have pretty much fairly winnable games going forward, where you got teams like the Bengals. You got teams like the Redskins. You got the Dolphins twice. You got the Bills again in Buffalo, which could be more of a less winnable game, but who knows where we could be at that point. You got the Giants, who are trying to make a name for themselves as well. Like you got games winnable coming up. So take this opportunity. If I'm Adam Gase, turn your season around. Let your guys play for you and play to win. Point blank. Period. Like I can't. Like it's too mind numbing to give up on the season at this point. Like I understand what's in front of us, but I can't give up at this point. And Doug Peterson just took a tremendous leap as a head coach. The only choice I have is to have faith that Adam Gase can do the same thing. Like I understand, but I have no choice.
Yeah, like as long as Adam Gase doesn't have like the full control, like that's what I was afraid of when he went to New York. I was afraid they were going to give him the keys to the ranch pretty much and have him do whatever the hell he wanted to do. Like when you like have I know McCagnon, he signed all these free agents and gave them a lot of money. I mean, some of these guys I think it was like did Mosley get like 52, 53 guaranteed, whatever it was. I mean, that's crazy. That's like, I couldn't believe it, but I don't know if it's to save his job or whatnot, but when you're like on a rebuild or if you're trying to get all these people, like you guys are trying to like pretty much clean slate and get free up cap space, get all these guys in here, especially the coaches and everything. It's you really have to get these guys, the right guys in here, and really take a long look, down, and see what this team is going to look like down the road, because you can't be switching head coaches every 2 years. You can't be doing that because there's no stability in the organization. Like it's just the quarterbacks got to learn 10 different offenses, and it's just crazy. Like it's out of control. Like we had a coach in Chip Kelly that anybody on the team was expendable. Anybody. It didn't matter how much talent you had. He picked the scheme over the talent. And then not even just that, but to the point where you had a coach that went to the draft. Marcus Mariota was, the first overall. What was he, the first overall pick in that draft or second? Second overall pick in the draft. And Ian Rappaport is on the television. He's like, "Oh yeah, there are some rumors going around the Eagles right now that they're putting Fletcher Cox and 5 draft picks in a deal to acquire Marcus Mariota." I mean, it's just insane how much like your franchise could turn around like that. All it takes is one bad move. It doesn't matter. Like it's scary. It really is. Everything that you've built for everything that you've built within the organization, everything that you've been striving, to get to the top, get to a Super Bowl. All it takes is one move, but I know Adam Gase isn't going to get fired. It's not going to happen because with all these injuries, it's just going to cover up a lot of stuff. But from what Adam Gase has on offense right now, there's no excuse between Robbie and just all these guys. Le'Veon Bell on top of it. I saw the excitement when Le'Veon Bell signed with the Jets. I'm like, damn. And he was flirting with a lot of teams. He was having a lot of fun with it on Twitter. We saw it. He was all over the place. And then, when he went to the Jets, you know what? And honestly, I see a lot of maturity in Le'Veon Bell. I think he's handling it very well, unlike, Antonio Brown and some of these other fucking guys that really can't, hold their composure. But Le'Veon Bell seems to really like it in New York. He really does. I think he's really loving it over there. And it'd be a shame if Adam Gase can't get this offense rolling and just, they got to get confidence in these guys to go out and put them in the right positions to win football games. There is no excuse to have an offense like this. I understand if you don't have your starting quarterback, I guess it does make a difference. But, at this point, the Jets just need to go out and play, and the Jets need to take shots, take risks, and don't play scared. And, not like any team plays scared, but I'm saying be assertive in your play calling. Like we're gonna do this play and we're gonna get this play. We're gonna throw on this team. We're gonna do our job and we're gonna get this done today. But that's where it all comes down to.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, like you mentioned, like I love the Le'Veon Bell signing to begin with. Like I was a little bit skeptical with it, but the dude, well, he was a Jet fan growing up, and he's showing how much he loves playing in New York. Like I feel so bad for the guy. Like the dude, with all what he's had to overcome, like not playing for a whole year, the dude looks like he hasn't missed a beat. Like he's breaking tackles. He's hurdling defenders. He's making spit. Like, the dude looks like he hasn't missed a beat at all. Like, it just pains me to have to watch him pretty much carry that entire offense. It pains me to watch. Like, I feel so bad for the dude. Like, he was one of my favorite running backs. Like, watching him in Pittsburgh, like, I loved watching him. And I was like, can you imagine Le'Veon Bell in a Jets uniform? And I'm just seeing him getting run into the ground. I'm like, what's going on? Like, it breaks my heart, to say the least. And, like, that's why, like, now with Sam coming back, like, I wanted to come back because it could also mount some pressure off Le'Veon Bell. Because if we're going to keep running Le'Veon Bell into the ground, he could be worn out by week 8 or week 9, and it's bad, especially since the Jets went into the season with 4 running backs. They got Ty Montgomery from the Packers. They re-signed Bilal Powell. Why aren't you using them, especially with the way Ty Montgomery looked in the preseason training camp? Why aren't you using Ty Montgomery? Like, can you use him more? Can you use him more than just a wildcat play? Like, come on, man. Like, just at the end of the day, Adam Gase's got to turn it around. That's the only thing he can ask for. And this is a day-by-day thing, especially with Sam. Like, we find out if he gets cleared probably by Friday or Saturday. And if he plays, like, the fan perspective of me will get very excited. Like, I understand the concern. And I know even with him playing, we're probably not gonna win anyway because of the odds stacked against us, with you guys having home field advantage. But I'll just be really happy to see him back, and I'll probably end this on a high note. I'll at least end this on this. If Sam Darnold gets cleared to return, I will go to Philly for the game. I will go out to the link and see him over there. I am willing to go into the Lions' nest. I am willing to get booed by Eagles fans. I am willing to do it to see my quarterback return. Point blank period. I'm willing to see my team.
Even watching, like, that Bills game, like, you tell me if I'm wrong, like, even like Le'Veon Bell had a receiving touchdown, then he had some nice runs in that game. Then, 4 turnovers, not getting, points, converting into points, and then Sam was overthrowing. I think he overthrew Robbie Anderson twice, if I can remember, in that game. Like, I forgot what happened.
Like, he didn't overthrow him. Like, the first deep ball he threw to him, it was right in Robbie's hands and he dropped it. The second one, he threw it off his back foot, and that should have been called for pass interference. Like, that was my shtick on that. But like, he was like, the dude was playing with the mono symptoms, and he completed a wild 2-point conversion pass to Le'Veon Bell. Like, he was like, that was an Aaron Rodgers like play. Like, he was running around in the backfield, and like he just threw it over everybody, and just Le'Veon Bell just caught the ball. Like, I was in my seat. I just bugged out. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, that's my quarterback right there. Yeah. That's my quarterback, for crying out loud. But just ending this on a note right there. I'm going to end this off with this. Thank you guys for having me on. This is definitely an absolutely amazing stream. I got to admit, like, I don't think I've ever had this much fun talking football tonight than I did, especially, like, knowing the situation that I'm in as a fan, as a Jet fan, and knowing all the heat I've had to overcome from Eagles fans. I know I'm probably going to get called trash and delusional, that I don't know what I'm talking about, and, like, like, this fan's delusional. How does he even think we have a chance? But listen, I'm just trying to break down, like, any sort of shot we have. But at the end of the day, regardless whether what happens, I hope Sam plays. I want him to play. Mosley's probably not playing. Jenkins is not playing. So, like I said, overall summary on offense: maximize what you have. Utilize your guys on defense. Make the offense more predictable, neutralize the run game, get Carson Wentz to throw the ball, rattle him around, force turnovers, and build momentum for your team. So overall, you guys probably won't need it. I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck. I wish every Eagles fan the best of luck, and every other Eagles video maker out there that hopefully sees this. And it's going to be a fun game. Like I said, if Sam plays, I will go to Philly for the game, because I talked to my buddy about that. But I'll give my final score prediction. I think if Sam does play, I'm going to say this will be 34-20 Eagles. If not, I will say 41-10 Eagles if Luke Falk's in the game.
Wow, 41-10. Well, yeah, Gangrene David, man, it was amazing having you on the channel tonight, man. And anytime you want to talk football again with me and Joe, I mean, we would love to, man. So all the people that's still watching, we still got 14 in here. We have 20-something people tonight. Make sure you guys subscribe to Gang Green David, and make sure you subscribe to Joeyshakes72. Subscribe to my boys. Both of them really work hard, so please subscribe to these guys, man. Just subscribe to them, man. I mean, just subscribe to them. You know,
just subscribe.
Just
That's all you need to do.
But I appreciate the kind words. I do.
Problem, dude.
Yeah, man.
You know, it's nice because you know what? It's not like we're just like, you know,
That's still ass though.
we're not being delusional on both sides. We're not being delusional on both sides. We're being realistic about both. I mean, this is pretty good because we're being very realistic and very real about. We're not just going to say, "Oh, we're going to beat you," and that's it. We're pretty much going on, you know, what's going on with the Eagles, what's going on with the Jets, and the matchups, and that's why it's really interesting. So, it's. You know, it was a really good stream. I really did enjoy this tonight. I really did, and I wish you guys luck. And you know, and I'm hoping that our team doesn't shoot ourselves in the foot, and you know, we go on, and that's it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, fam. Well, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll be on Joey's channel sometime after the game Sunday to talk about what happened. And then we'll be here next week to talk about the Eagles matchup with the Minnesota Vikings. So looking at those two things.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to. Circle on your calendar. Put a reminder on your phone. Make sure you guys are there for that, for both of those things. This is your host, Melos Philly Jim, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace out,
Bye, guys,
and go Jets, baby.
He's out.
He's still alive, right?
He doesn't know. He doesn't. Hasn't hosted that many of these. So, are we still live?
Yeah, we are.
I hit the wrong fucking button. I was supposed to end broadcast, but I exited the studio. All right, let me do that again. Oh my fucking god.